Hello, this is Francisca. Today I would like to show you how to host an online meeting within your Moodle course. This is a very useful tool so that you can have live sessions within your course. You can schedule office hours or lectures or conversations with your students that are synchronous, which means it's live at the same time as you're there. So the first thing you'll need to do is log into your adultedcourses.org and then log into this site. I'm already logged in, and then search for your school, which in my case is Jefferson Adult, and then find your course. So in this case, for demonstration purposes, I have just a demo course that I like to use when I do demonstrations like this. So we're going to click on that. And then I've already turned editing on. If it's not on, I'm going to turn it off so you can see what it looks like. You won't see any buttons on the right that allow you to do anything. So this is the way your students would see the course. So for you, if you want to do any editing in the course, you have to turn editing on first. So that's the first thing we do. And once you do that, you'll see all these edit buttons here on the side. And that's where we're going to go to add something. So I'm going to go down a little bit. Let's go down here. I've added some other samples, so I want to go to a clean one here. Well, we can do it here. So where it says add an activity or resource, you're going to click on that. And then when you look over on the left, activities, you'll go down and you'll see where it says meeting. Click meeting. And once you do that, then down here you click add. Notice when you click it on the right, it gives you some explanations about what this is. So let's click add. And this is going to open up the editing, the settings area. So we'll give it a second to open up. And you'll see here, so it says custom URL. So Moodle will make its own a URL once you've put something in. So I'm just going to put just a name. Oh, excuse me here. Let me try to be able to type here. Moodle online or Moodle line. We'll just do that. That's fine. And then when I click generate, what it does, it's going to change that name. And you see this T6 JPDO. This is just the URL. So you can just type anything, it can be short in this little area, click generate, and now you've got a URL. And it tells you here the requested URL was not found. What that means is that no one else has already done it. If you put in a name that someone else had already put in, you would have to put in something different. But in this case, since it wasn't found, it means that no one else has already used that name. So now you want to name your activity. So you can keep it short. So we'll just call it Moodle Online Session. And then you want to put the date that you want it to start. So again, when you put that, it's telling you the requested name was not found and can be used. So again, if someone else had called theirs the same name, I would have to put something different. So let's do the start date for, let's see, I'm going to put the 20th, and I'm going to move it ahead a little bit to, say, March 2017, and the time is 10 o'clock. And this is how long you want your session to be. So if it's an hour, you can choose longer if you like. So let's say we choose an hour and a half. And then you just put a summary, whatever you would like to put. Online conversation. Oops. Conversation. Pardon my typing. Practice. Okay. So that's just a summary. We're not going to do telephone. And then now you can go through these different settings. So let's look at the iconic display. And you can choose if you want just a link or an icon. And I like icons. And here it says display on course page. You want that checked. And you can put medium, and then you can decide if you want it on the center, on the left, or on the right. So I'm going to leave it at the center. And then these other things I would just leave default. So don't change anything there. And that's pretty much all you would need to put in that part. And then the next one would be grading options. So I'm going to click on that. And what I like to do here, you can leave it on simple grading, but if you click Adobe grading, you now have the option of giving people a grade according to how much time they spend in the online session. So I can give them, so this is an hour and a half, so this is a 90-minute session. If they attend the whole thing, they can get 100%. Let's say they attend 45 minutes. I could give them 50%. So I'm going to scroll down and find that. Give them down to 50%. Where are you? And if they attend, you really don't have an option for nothing, but let's say it's only 5 minutes. So 5 minutes or nothing. Then I can just go all the way down. And you don't have an option for 0, but you give them, say, 1%. So this allows you to actually give people a grade for attending the session. Then the next one is meeting completion. So this is when you want Moodle to basically close your Adobe Connect room. So you need to give some time a little beyond when the session closes. So this is an hour. That's a little bit long, but you might want to put 15 minutes, and then it would pull the grades out and close the session, sorry. Then, in order for you to get the attendance list, so you don't have to keep track of who was there, you can look at it later, you just put your email in here. And what that means is after the meeting's over, you'll get an email with a list of the students that attended. Okay, and these two, where it says enroll after attendance, keep it at never, and never change this because it would actually enroll them from the entire course. So leave that as default. And I would just leave this as default. You can well, I don't think there's even an option. Okay, then reminder messages. This is really nice because you can remind people, and it will show up if you have the calendar block in your Moodle course. It will show up there. So I do have to click link to calendar to make this active. So now I can decide, how much time before I want to give people a warning. So let's say we'll do a week before, and we can just leave that as it is. Then do maybe a day before, and then maybe, say an hour before. So this means that the students will get a reminder that this session is going to be happening. Then the next one, common module settings. This you probably would do nothing with. You just leave it as it is. You want to have that it's visible, which means that it'll show in the course. And then restrict access. This is a setting you have in all these edit settings. You really don't want to add a restriction here. This is really for a different purpose. So we'll just leave that one alone. Okay, so now we can go save, and I'm going to go ahead and just go save and return to course. And we'll give that a second. I'll wait a little while for it to, there we go. Okay, let it just, so we need to go to where I put that, and we named it this, and you'll see it says Moodle online session, and here's the date, March 20th, 2017, and here's the time, 10 to 11:30, and it's Pacific time because we're in California. So now what happens is that to enter the Adobe Connect, you would just click on this icon. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And the beauty of this is students can just click on the icon and they don't have to sign in, and so it's single sign-on. So if they're signed into this Moodle course, then automatically when they click on this icon, it will go into Adobe Connect. But I'm going to do it as the host because then I can show you how to do the settings once you're in Adobe. So when you go in, you're going to be a host of Adobe Connect, and we'll give it a second to go in. So something if you've never gone into Adobe, it will ask you to do a plug-in with your computer. I've already been in here, so there's no need for me to do that. And it just takes a second. Students would have to do that too. And once you go through that plug-in, it will knock you out of the room, and then they'll just have to go back in. And it just checks to make sure your computer is compatible. And once you have that plug-in, you won't ever have to do that again. So when you go into Adobe Connect, it gives you this nice little quick tutorial. So that's something that I would read if I were you. It goes through each one of these things, through the share pods, chat pods, and how it works and where you can put the chat. Shows the attendee list, which is a pod that you need to put in. It'll automatically be in here. And then the last thing is just, with the microphone, how to talk, and so on. So this is going through a little tutorial. There's no sound right now because I'm doing this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and go next. And I'm going to close this. This is something you can look at for yourself. So once you're in, it has already set up a shared pod right here. And there's the webcam if you want to use it. And here you'll see the attendee list. So in this case, I am here as a host, so it has my name here. Once students are in, you will see under participants, you would see a list of their names. And then we've got the chat pod, which works like any chat pod. You just would type into here and hit enter, and you would see the chat right there. So if you want to use the webcam, you would just click Start My Webcam. If you would rather not have that there, you can hide it. So if you go over here, you see pod options. So I'm just going to click on that, and then it can say hide, and that whole little pod just disappeared. And then I can move this attendee list up. I can, like you do with any, you can make it a little bit longer, except it's not cooperating with me very well. But let's say I want to make that a little bit longer. I can move my chat pod up. So I can move, these are called pods, and I can move these around any way that I want. And then one thing that students and you would need to do is activate your microphone. So that means you go into meeting, and when you do that, you get this little menu, and you go through this audio setup wizard. And then you just go next. I don't know how well it would work right now because I'm actually doing this. That was loud. Anyway, you would go through, you would choose your microphone, which in this case is what I have. You would go next. You can test the recording, then you would go next and next. And once you've done that and you click on this, it's going to, when it's green, now my microphone is active, and you can just click on it to mute it. So if you wanted to use the camera, you can click on this to bring back the webcam. This is important for students because this is their status. So they can raise their hand, they can agree, disagree. If they or you need to leave the room for a minute, you can put step away. If they can't hear you, they can put speak louder or speak softer, speed up, slow down, and then laughter and applause. So they can click on any of these things. The raise hand is nice because that way you can tell them to keep their microphones muted, because if everybody has their microphones on, there's lots of background noise. But this way they can raise their hand and unmute their microphone and then ask their question or whatever they need. So this pod is already here. So one thing I want to show you is you will probably want to upload a PowerPoint, which is a way you can present your lecture, whatever you want to show the students. So you have this option. You're going to click Share My Screen, and it's on the drop down. You can share your screen, which is what it already is. You can share a document or whiteboard. So if I want to upload a PowerPoint, I'm going to share a document. And then here, you just browse your computer, and then you would just search for wherever your document is, just like you do for any upload of a document, and then click Open. And then you would need to wait a few minutes. It takes a few minutes for it to load, but you'll see it loading. It has to convert to be compatible with the Adobe Connect. So let me show you a little bit about adding pods as well. So you can go here, and if you wanted to add another share pod, we already have one here. You would click Add New Share. You already have the attendee list. You can see the check mark. The chat is already open. If you click Chat and go here, you'll see that you already have a chat. There are other things you can add. You can also bring up other files. You can do a poll, which is kind of fun, a question answer if you wanted them. So let's just do a poll so you can kind of see. And here's multiple choice, or you can do short answer. So let's just do something like, oops, sorry, how are you today? Or you can ask them, what's the weather like today? Something like that. Okay, and we're going to have short answer, so then I'm going to open it, and then students, and there are no answers right here, you can put it, we'd probably make it a little smaller and maybe add it down here as one of the pods. So if I just make it a little smaller, or I can adjust the size of my other pods. So you can adjust these when you get that little double arrow. It's a little bit tricky sometimes. And then just put it wherever you like. So now students will be able to type their answers, and this gives them something to do while they're in the room. And I'm going to click Broadcast Results, and then you'll see their answers. You can also add other things in these pods, as just to make things a little more fun. So this is something you may want to explore. What other things you can do. And these are, when you leave, this is what I was going to say, when you leave this site, when you're finished, you want to end the meeting. And when you end the meeting, you can show this message, or you can put your own message. If you want to do some sort of evaluation that you've pre-created, you could put it here. You probably wouldn't do that within this Moodle. I usually don't, but just put your little exit message and then click OK, and that would end your meeting, and then you would be finished. So some other things, if you want to learn more, there are layouts you can add. Layouts are just how you want your room to look. You can add, this is the sharing one. This is already in here. If I click discussion, it's set up this way. Again, you can adapt these any way you like. And then they have a collaboration one. This is all already in here. So sharing is probably what you'd be using the most, but you have some other options. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting now. So whenever you're experimenting in here or looking around, make sure you end the meeting when you leave or exit, so that the room doesn't stay open. All right, so I'm going to go OK. So now this meeting has ended. And that's really all you need to do these sessions. For students, it's really pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So what we'll do now, when you do these sessions, I didn't show you the record. Let me go back in. Oops, sorry. Let me do this. Another thing you'd want to do for this kind of session is record it. So let me give you just a second here, because that way, if the student can't attend, then they can go back and listen to the recording, and that would be in your Moodle course. So to record it, you would go to Meeting and go Record Meeting. And when you do that, it wants a summary, so you can just say something short. And then go OK. And when I do that, you'll see the little red button up here. So this means that now the session's being recorded. So this is a useful thing to do so that students can always go back later and then listen to the session if they were unable to attend. And you can give them credit if they do that, and it will show up. You'll get a message that they've actually attended or listened to the recording. So let me exit again, end the meeting. And then I'm going to go OK. And then we're going to go back to the class. So the other thing you'll want to do, so for single meetings that you set up like this one, those can be recorded. But you can also set up something like office hours that recur maybe once a week, once a month, whatever schedule you'd like to use. And those cannot be recorded. But they are useful for things like drop-in sessions. So to do that, I go to the front page here, and then if you notice over here, there's a little calendar icon. So, and it says recurring meetings as soon as I run my mouse over that. And so I'm going to click recurring meeting. And it tells me there are no instances right now. So I just click add an instance. So you notice this is the URL, so the URL automatically comes up. And you can click the start date. So this is already set for about a week after the other one we just did. So let's just leave it at that, start date. These settings would be the same. Again, you already have your email will already show up here. The completion delay. You can do the reminder messages if you like. And then that's it. That's all you do, and then save the changes. So I'm going to save changes. And now this is when the next office hour will appear. So you need to do one for each time. So let's say we'll do March 27th, and maybe we want to do one more. So let's do, I don't know, we'll just pick another random date here. Maybe we'll do one in April. Okay, and then everything else you can leave the same and save changes. So these would be your office hours, but remember these you cannot record. But for students, they can go in there and you'll just be there, and if they want to ask you questions or anything like that. So it's useful to have. So let's go back to the front page. So the very last thing I want to show you is just how this looks for students. So I'm going to change my role. Notice, I wanted to show you the calendar. Notice how this is when our session's going to be. And it shows you, this is one that we had for the second. And then this is a block you need to add. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit here because I want to change my role. Switch role. So I'm just going to switch to student so you can see a little bit of what this looks like. And we'll go down to the one we just did. All right, so it's right here. So again, students would just click on this to enter the session. Once that's been recorded, we didn't really record it this time, but let me see if I have an icon here with one that's been recorded, because the icon changes. Yeah, it would look like this, and you see this little play button. So once it's been recorded, then students can just click on this and listen to the recording. So I hope you enjoy using this. It's really fun to do with your students, and they enjoy it too. Thank you for listening.